Officer Daniels stole a glance at Julian through the rearview mirror, his smirk barely concealed. So, what's your story? Late-night drug run? Or do you just enjoy making our lives difficult? Julian met Daniel's gaze. Two cops thought they had just found an easy target. I'm just a man trying to get home. But they didn't realize. Yeah, the man they had pulled over wasn't just any driver. Officer Reed. He was the one running the entire department. With an overinflated the quiet evening air was interrupted only by the soft crunch of tires against gravel. We hear that all the time. Every reckless driver has a story, calm demeanor, and strong leadership. Julian held his tongue, turned onto Sycamore Avenue. Choosing silence over after spending the day in Charlotte, he knew words wouldn't help meeting right with now. Community leaders. If anything, they could make things worse. It had been a long, instead, yet fulfilling day, inhaled deeply, filled with discussions, studying decisions, his thoughts, and the steady responsibility of his role. He knew the system inside and out. All he could think about was moments like this famous pot roast. He also knew the odds weren't stacked in his favor. The warm meal marking the ride to the precinct was dedicated day of service, save for the occasional murmur of conversation between the officers yet reliable. Julian blended into the suburban streets as he drove through the neighborhood. His mind running through possibilities. His mind drifted between thoughts of work and fighting for justice, a small smile for fairness within the very institution. And then these men red and blue lights flashed in his rearview mirror. Here he was, the sharp, the crosshairs of the glow shattered the night's peace he had worked to dismantle. When they arrived at the station, steering wheel instinctively tightened. Of fluorescent lights his eyes flicked to the speedometer. Sterile 29 and 35 miles per hour. Daniels removed Julian's cuffs with an exaggerated traffic violation. His smirk widened. No broken taillights. Welcome to our humble abode. There was no reason for this stop. Mockingly. And yet, get comfortable. You're going to be here for a while. The flashing lights demanding compliance. Steady. Am I being charged? He exhaled. Reed leaned against the desk, muttering to himself as he activated his smirk signal, just as arrogant as pulled to the side of the road. We'll let you know. He knew the routine well, drawing out the words. In sight. Once we figured that out, the metal door clanged shut behind Julian. Not because he had done anything lingering wrong, in the cold, but because in situations like this, perception was everything. Seeped through his clothes as he lowered himself onto it. His flashlight beam cut through the dimly lit car interior. His mind remained scanning over Julian's face. He wasn't angry. Officer approached the driver's side, unproductive, moving with he was watching, waiting, almost rehearsed outside the cell. Daniels lingered near the rear of the vehicle, laughing hand resting a little too comfortably Julian's on identification and registration. You in a hurry tonight? Nothing out of the ordinary. The first officer Daniels muttered, suspicion dripping from his voice like oil from a rusted pipe. However, no, wasn't concerned. Julian responded, his smirk tugging at the corner of his lips. Just heading home. Guy's flashlight hovered over Julian's face for a moment. Too long. We'll find something before dropping. Julian heard every word, the seats, his expression, and then back up to his face again. He remained still. License and registration, shoulders relaxed. The words weren't a request. He had been in situations like this before. Julian nodded, as the accused, keeping his movements but as deliberate. The one overseeing I'm reaching for my registration now, ensuring officers operated with integrity. My license is in my wallet. The irony wasn't lost on him. I'll grab it after this. Minutes blurred into hours. No response. The officer's posture, and went, however, stiffened. Glancing curiously at the man in the holding cell. The question None of them recognized him, but Julian could tell. Then again, it wasn't really a question at all. He had only been in the city answer for 3 weeks. The officer continued, not long enough for his face to be known. You were swerving into the other lane. That was about to change. Driving erratically, as dawn stretched Julian's brow light across the horizon, with all due respect, orange hues through the station's high windows. My dash heard approaching footsteps. The officer cut him off. They were measured, shifting purposeful. From accusation to command. A woman appeared in front of the cell. Her expression unreadable for evidence. Her stance commanding. Step out of the vehicle. She carried herself differently than the others. Surprise momentarily betraying his usually composed, authoritative. Was her badge really happening? Lieutenant Morgan. Is there a problem, officer? Her sharp eyes flicked from Julian fully. To the paperwork the in her officer's hand. Jaw tightened. A frown creased her forehead. Rigid. What's going on here? Step out of the vehicle. Daniel stepped forward. Now, arms crossed. A heavy weight settled in Julian's stomach. Reckless he driving. Unbuckled his seatbelt, resisting moving arrest. Slowly, Morgan's eyebrow his hands slightly. Remained raised in clear view driving as he opened the door. Her voice was laced with skepticism. Immediately, where's the second officer closed in? Reed, grabbing Julian's arm lazily against the desk, force and yanking him toward the patrol car. We haven't processed it yet. Is this his really tone necessary? Was casual, dismissive, Julian questioned, like it didn't really matter. Level but firm. Morgan's lips I haven't done anything wrong. Thin line. Resisting, she turned her attention to Julian. The first officer sneered. Do you have any idea why you were stopped? Fine by Julian me. Stood, the cold bite of metal against his wrists. I was told it was for reckless driving. As the cuffs snapped shut, voice calm, Julian's mind raced, which I categorically deny. I also have a dash cam in my vehicle that will verify my plain account. And simple. Morgan's expression hardened. They had no idea back to the two officers arrested. You didn't review his pushed him into the back of the squad
Daniels
car.
shifted,
the door
uncomfortably.
slamming shut with a
Reed
finality
shrugged again.
that made his
We
pulse
didn't get
spike.
to it yet.
As the car
Morgan
began rolling
inhaled
down the
sharply
street
through her nose.
Julian's gaze
clearly
flicked toward the
displeased.
houses
Get
lining
it.
the block.
Now.
Silhouettes
She
turned
shifted
behind
Daniels.
blinds, and
Porch
you, my
lights
office,
casting
faint
now.
glows onto the pavement.
two officers slunk
People
away.
were watching,
Their arrogance
but no one was
fading
stepping
as they realized
outside.
they might have just
Not
made a
yet.
serious mistake.
But this,
Julian
was
watched
far
them
from
go.
over.
His
Up
expression
front,
unreadable.
The officers
but
carried
internally,
on as if
he
nothing
knew.
had happened.
The tide
The
was
younger
turning.
one chuckled at
Still,
something his partner
this was
said.
only the beginning.
Their voices,
the metal
carrying
bench
over the
pressed
hum
into
of
his
the
back
engine.
as he leaned
Their
against the
casual
wall.
conversation
His sharp
felt like a
eyes
stark
tracking the
contrast
movement
to
of
the
the
absurdity
precinct.
of what had
The
just
air
unfolded.
buzzed with activity.
Julian
Officers
sat rigid in the back
calls.
seat,
Paperwork
his
shuffling.
mind working fast.
The rhythmic clatter
They didn't know
of keyboards.
who he was.
It was
They
business
didn't realize
as they
usual
had
for
just
them.
arrested the
But for
very
Julian,
man who
this
oversaw
was
their
a
department.
moment of reckoning,
And
he had no
hours
intention
passed,
of staying
but Julian's
silent.
mind was far from idle.
He replayed the events of the night, every word, every escalation, like a film on repeat. It was a stark reminder of why he had taken this position in the first place. 3 weeks ago, he had accepted the role of police chief in the city, an opportunity to instill change, to create a culture of accountability. And now he was experiencing firsthand the very abuse of power he had sworn to eradicate. But this wasn't over. Not even close.